Something I get asked quite a bit on TikTok is what Lawrence does for a living, and he's an artist, graphic designer, just very good with doing crafty things. And something that he accidentally, do you want to say, like, you accidentally got into carving pumpkins?
Yeah, I was working in a pub in Oxford, and they were really rubbish at pumpkin carving, so I was like, I'll give it a go, and I did them for a few years in that pub.
Nice.
And then BBC Oxford got in touch and wanted me to do a whole load of that, show them how to do it as well, so I did that on there.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for a few years.
Lawrence is going to talk us through some really good like tips and tricks of how to get a really good pumpkin design that's not like your classic triangle and like smiley face. Like, there's some really simple things that you can do that are relatively easy, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I guess.
we think they're easy. I think the more you do these things, the easier it is. These are the designs that we're going for. I'll put them on the screen now. So I'm going to go for this design. Lawrence is going to go for this design using this little munchkin pumpkin. And that's your go-to design, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks
It's
pretty
good fun.
Yeah.
I like it. We've already carved out our pumpkins, but like tip number one, actually, with carving out your pumpkins is when you cut this top bit out, use like a serrated knife. Like this is a fruit knife, right?
Fruit knife, yeah.
A fruit knife is perfect. This is so good. And you want to get it on a slight angle, not go straight down. If you go straight down, then your lid's going to fall through your pumpkin. So you need to be on a slight angle when you get it out, and you can get this kind of
Pentagonal.
Was it?
Pentagonal shape.
Pentagonal shape, because then you can just go chip, 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 chip. So first tip would be, get it on an angle, use a fruit knife, a little serrated knife, and then this is a really good tip that you told me.
I like making a little notch in it here, so that when you go to put this back on again, you know exactly where it's going to go, and you don't do this every single time.
So simple, so clever.
Pull it all out, take all the stuff out the middle. I've actually made my hole a little bit small here.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
So Hope's is really clean on the inside and mine isn't. But also, no one's looking on the inside, so it doesn't really matter.
But it does make it easier.
It does make it a little
because
easier,
I do think when we were doing this and we were taking all the guts out and stuff, that's one of my least favourite parts of pumpkin carving.
I just forget that bit exists.
Yeah.
Just want to get on with the good stuff.
So I always go wider on this. So I would say that is a good tip, to go wider, and we just used like kitchen spoons to get all those guts out. And also another thing, don't eat your pumpkins. These are not made for eating.
Gross. They have no flavour at all.
They have no flavour. They're literally just produced to like be en masse, be big, no flavour. So as much as we hate food waste, and we won't waste these, we'll give these to chickens. They'll love to eat these. But these kind of carving pumpkins, don't do it. Just, they're full of rubbish flavour. Anyway, first tip.
So when you put the pumpkin down, you'll notice it kind of sits on an angle. One will kind of look like the front and one will look like the back. And I tend to use the one that's sort of facing upwards.
It's got like more surface area.
Don't use this side, but use this side. And then yours, I would use this side, but not this side.
Which is annoying because my side, this is another good tip that you have. Like this side here has this really nice like green like texture to it. And that was another tip that you had when you select your pumpkin, which is...
I like finding ones with all little gnarly bits on, because you can make that part of the face.
Yeah.
You know.
And it just makes it a little bit more
like...
like...
Makes it look a bit kind of scary.
Yeah, gory? Gnarly? Yeah.
I like to use a knife like this. A thin and sharp knife, basically. This one's quite good, but it's probably slightly too thick.
It's too long as well, probably. Yeah. Like, that's quite hard to
I would use the end bits of this.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful with these kind of things. Anything with a nice, sharp, pointy end to it is good.
Those ones that you get in the shops, rubbish.
Don't
get kids. I mean, probably good for kids because of safety.
Yeah.
But like, if you're an adult carving a pumpkin, just don't bother.
Use little stubby, short ones like this. Is probably slightly too wide. I just really like this one.
This one's perfect
because it's.
If you had a what's it called, a penknife, that would probably be really good.
Yeah,
like
with all
a
the
what's it called?
tiny bit. Swiss Army knife.
If you have like a Swiss Army knife, that would probably be very good as well.
I don't like how they bend though.
No. So utensils, use your kitchen paring knives. Don't bother with those kind of kits. The serrated ones are quite good if you're going in for like a big shape to get out. But for Lawrence's design, talk us through how you're going to do this.
So I'm going to use this little munchkin guy, and he's going to be being eaten by the larger pumpkin. So he's going to sit in the mouth. And the first thing I do is work out how big that is and cut the hole out. And then I'll work all round so the eyes will be like kind of gnarly like that.
Then for my one, I've got my photo reference here as well. I'm gonna take a pen, I'm gonna map it out. Lawrence is gonna cut out his bit, and then we'll show you how to get this kind of like skinned bit that's on like my example one. Do you think there is an element as well of like having to have like an artistic eye?
Yeah, I know that kind of stuff is very difficult to teach. The more you do, the better you get. And there's loads and loads of great inspiration on Pinterest and stuff. So
yeah, Pinterest is
just
my
have a look
go-to
at
with it.
Pinterest and Halloween. Pinterest is basically made for Halloween.
It really is. Yeah.
And you use like a kind of sawing motion. And these little knives are so good because you can get round quite sharp corners with them. And then you can clean it up afterwards. So these first cuts are not necessarily that important. Push it through from the outside. And see how it fits in. So that's going to be the mouth.
Oh, cool. That looks good. Okay, nice.
Eventually, so that'll be teeth.
And here's how I've mapped mine out. So I've got the eyes, I've got the mouth here. Are you ready to start showing how you get the skin bit? Because that's like the next bit for mine.
Yeah.
So the next part of your design, once you've got that shape with the munchkin fitting in.
So I've got the shape, the little munchkin fits in like this, so he's going to sit like that, and then there's going to be...
This is good, I like the fact that there's like these, like you say, these little gnarly
knobbly
bits.
He's going to have lips and teeth, so the mouth will kind of go, so the mouth is closed here, but open here, like. So if you've got a longer knife like this, I'm holding it down, but you only really need to go
Let's see
in
if I can get in and
like a really small amount.
Basically, you just need to score the skin.
Yeah, and don't go
all the way through. You're just going a few mil.
Yeah, a few mil in.
Deep, not cutting all through. And like, it's thick. You've got a lot to play with here, but basically what you're doing is you're just going to score the whole edge. And I'm just going to then use this blunt one, lift up the skin, like get my knife under, and then you can see that you can start to almost like chip away. You've got to be careful, but like if you get the first notch out, then you can just very easily skim your knife over the surface.
Keep your hands out of the way and like rock the knife backwards and forwards like this. And then once you get to the score line, it will just come off.
A good like tip as well, I think, whenever doing this, is always cut away from you. Don't be going like this, because if it slips, like danger, don't do that. So if you go this way and always make sure your hand's out of the direction that you're going, then you should be fine. But just like take your time with it.
Yeah, this is like adult pumpkin carving.
Yeah,
you really get kids to do this kind of stuff. If you want to impress your neighbours.
Yeah, it's really good to like impress.
Put this outside the front of your house and they'll be like, how on earth did you do that?
I'll see if I can find the links to both of these and put them in the description. Lawrence has done his, I've done mine. All I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start carving into these edges a little bit more with this blunt knife to make the eyes more rounded, like give it a little bit more of a bulge. I'm just going to start on an angle, shaving off bits of the flesh. Then you can like slice that off like this. And I'm going to do that round the edge so that we get a little bit more texture here. And I'm going to do the same with like a little like pupil there. And then what do you do with yours now?
Well, I could either do the teeth or the eyes, but I think it's worth doing the eyes just so you can see how that looks. I'm going to do one eye that's like kind of like that.
Right, so I've now hollowed out the eyes there, so there's a little bit more texture to those. I'm going to do the pupils here, so I'm going to do the same technique, but just to get a little bit of texture. I'm just going to go in at an angle, create like a circle, take like a triangular chunk out, and then create that same depth for the pupils.
So I've done my eyes in a little cartoony...
Oh, nice, yeah.
You've got to remember, these things will be seen in the dark.
Oh yeah, you can go thin. That's a good point.
So when I've cut out these little holes here, I've also cut around the inside of the hole to make it so that more light will come out.
I like downwards?
Yeah,
kind
of at an angle.
I'm gonna carve out the teeth. I'm just going to do really big chunky teeth so I can get them nice and rounded. I think that's the other thing as well, like don't do fiddly, do like a chunky design that's going to work well for you.
I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. So I've finished the eyes and I'm going to do the teeth, and I'm kind of making mine look sort of natural, a little bit like yours, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be like pointy and stuff. They're going to be like normal.
Oh, those are my sourdough buns, they're done.
Normal teeth.
I always find as well, when you're getting to this point, once you get this first bit out, it's easier to do the rest of them. But do it in like manageable chunks. Don't worry about like following the line exactly. So if you do this like a little triangle notch, and then get this triangle notch out, then you can do the same. Then you can tidy up the edges when all of the main bits are out. Don't stress about following the exact shape at this moment, because you'll be able to tidy that up in a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna go around the teeth, make them a little bit more rounded as well. So do exactly as I did with the eyes and just do it around the teeth. Then that's pretty much it. Oh, there's one more thing that I'm doing to mine, which is really cool. Final touch.
The teeth are done, kind of cartoony and cool. And this like little munchkin guy fits in there so you can see what he looks like when he's eating. I quite like this kind of maniacal.
What's maniacal mean?
Like a maniac.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm going to round off the teeth a little bit, make them look a bit real. I might take one out as if he's sort of missing one. That would look kind of cool. Because you got to think about what light is going to come through from the inside.
I also find that with the teeth, it's worth shaving a relatively big chunk off the inside if you can get to it, because it makes them less like deep and it just looks better. So here's my final-ish one. One last thing. I've got some red food colouring, and then I'm going to put red food colouring on the inside of this eyeball bit, and also I'm going to carve out, using toothpick, burst blood vessels, so he's got bloodshot eyes. There's some squiggles here. Right, so red food colouring, just on the tip here. This is like the really intense food colouring as well, so a little bit goes a long way. Like this. Yours done?
I think so.
Oh, when do you know when to stop? Hey?
I know, you could carry on for ages.
You could.
But
I think mine's done as well. Oh, lids on with your little notch so you know exactly where it goes in. You like it?
yeah, I think they're quite a good pair.
They are a very good pair.
Husband and wife.
Here you go, bring them in. Here we are. So like, hopefully there's a couple of tips there that will help you with doing either these designs exactly, or, as Lauren says, go onto Pinterest. Have a look, there's so many amazing designs on there, and maybe these kind of like little tips that we've given will help you look at those and go, yeah, that's achievable, I can do that.
Yeah, some of the ones you see are so complicated that, I mean, these took us like an hour, probably.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know. This did take us an hour.
Over the top.
This took us an hour, and we do this every year, and Lawrence does it a lot. Obviously you get faster the more you do it, so don't stress if it ends up taking you a bit of time. But if you do them and you have success using any of these methods, let us know. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!